Hi, everyone. Welcome to Allparts, Leo Quan, who's a badass. I'm your host, Gary Lopez, and today we are thrilled for our second episode to have Mr. Freddie Washington. For those of you who don't know, Freddie's musical collaborations extend from Anita Baker, Michael Jackson, Elton John, B.B. King, Steely Dan. It goes on and on and on. So we were really excited to have him here today. Hey, Freddie, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I just been pretty busy, man. I've been kind of like, okay, I got so much stuff going on here. This stuff going on, and I'm like, oh man, I got a meeting.
Yeah, well, I
So,
appreciate it. I know your time is precious, so I'm glad to hear you that you're busy. Busy is good, so
yeah.
that's great.
Thank you, man. All right.
One thing I'd
Yes.
like to do is, if I'd be so kind, is I'd kind of like to get an idea when you first started playing,
Mhm.
um, why the bass? Like, is there any particular reason why instead of like a sax or drums or something? Or
Yeah, you know something early on when I was in like elementary school, I think I was in the third grade. I was thinking about taking up the saxophone, but for some reason I never went back to pursue it.
well, we're all glad. No.
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, things happen for a reason, you know. It's like, and then later on, like, there was I always had some instrument around, like some bongos or acoustic guitar that I played, sit across my lap and play with my thumb. Didn't know what I was doing, just bar chording it. And then later on, I just got drawn to the bass. Around, I
Hmm.
think it was around the eighth grade.
Nice, nice.
I got drawn to the bass and I took to it very easily and very well. And I started studying upright bass. So I went to that instrument.
Interesting. Do you come from a musical family or anybody else in the family play or
Well,
just
nobody else is in my family. My immediate family was a musician, but myself.
got it?
There was always music around, and I was always drawn to it. So I just had this thing early on about it.
That's awesome. It's awesome. So around eighth grade, you were playing upright. Were you in a band or doing orchestral parts or what were you?
But just orchestral. I had a guitar, a little funky bass guitar that I bought from a neighborhood kid, and I was playing that, and then there was an opportunity to check out, you know, the orchestra at my junior high school,
That's awesome.
and I went in, and I told them I was interested, and I started studying.
Great. So that was the beginning of your reading, or were you doing any kind of reading before that?
Absolutely. That was the beginning of my reading and the technical aspect of that instrument
Wow.
as as well. Yeah.
So I'm guessing that that is a great foundation for when you got into session work, right? I mean, because you have to be
Oh,
able to do that, right?
oh, absolutely. That was a perfect foundation for everything I was going to, unbeknownst to me, that I was going to be doing later.
No, that's great. And so
Yeah.
how long did you play upright bass?
I played upright for about later junior high and in high school because I was with the orchestra,
Yep.
the Oakland Youth Symphony Orchestra. I was in um, jazz bands, big bands
Mm.
in junior college right after high school and stuff. So I played for a while, but when I made my transition to start doing top 40 gigs and stuff, it was always the electric bass.
So what bass did you go to when you went from the upright? What did you was that
I
your
went,
Fender
oh,
that
oh
your
yeah, I
Fender
went straight
bass?
to my Fender, my
Wow.
original Fender.
And
Yeah.
how did you acquire that? Because that's such a great story of how many songs you played on that. That's incredible.
Yeah, that bass came about. I was going to there's a store in Berkeley, California called Leo's Music, and it was on College Avenue. And I would go in there, look at instruments, and they had a cork board up there with people would put cards and things that they were selling or whatever.
Sure.
And then I saw this card on the board. It was a professor that taught at UC Berkeley, and he had a it on the card. He said it was a 1972 Fender Precision bass. So I took the card. I looked at it, took the card, and gave him a call. And I went to check out the bass. And I like what I saw. I like how it played and everything. And I said, um, I don't have much money. I have $90. Hold this bass for me, and I'll be right back with the rest of the money. So I went home. My godmother, she gave me the balance. I had 90. She gave me the rest of the money, and I went back and got that bass, took it home on the bus. I wrapped it. I wrapped it in a curtain. There was no case for it.
Ah,
I stuffed it in a curtain and tied it up
great.
and took it home on the bus. And from
Wow.
there, the rest is history
Wow. So I think the
about
best
that. Yeah.
$210 you ever spent right there.
Best money I've ever spent in my life.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
amazing. One of the things I find so interesting is that, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I think that bass and your other bass are the only two instruments you've used pretty much for your career. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was a lot of the Fender, and
Yep.
then I went to after the Fender, I went to the Ken Smith 5 string.
Yep.
Yeah, so those two basses, and then it's been some others in between. It was like I had a Yamaha BB 3000 that I was
Ah,
using for a while that I played on some nice, really good records, and
right.
that was just for a time. And
Sure,
then
sure.
but I always went back home to the Fender.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the Ken Smith was a mainstay.
Any reason why the P bass over the jazz bass, or just because it was available at the time?
The P bass was I always liked the feel of a P bass. I like the width of it. I can get in and out real easy.
So
Jazz,
string spacing.
yeah, the string spacing and just the way it felt. It felt like playing an upright to me.
And that's why he made that bass, right? That's
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
I just saw, from what I understand, that string spacing was kind of to be
hmm
more closely related to the upright, so the transition to that bass would be easier for people, I
absolutely.
guess.
Because it was an easy transition for me coming from the upright, playing upright and the Fender at the same time. It was like kind of one and the same.
Oh, that's
One was
great.
just upright and one was just sideways.
Wow, wow. So on the
Yeah.
on the P bass, was the Badass bridge already on it when you bought the bass? That had the professor put it on, or you put that on?
No, it came with the original Fender bridge,
Yep. So
but the
you put
bridge just it was just one of them things where after a while the bridge was no more good.
right. And so what? How
Yeah.
did you know about the Badass? Did somebody else have one, or you see somebody
Oh,
play it,
I
or
had always heard about the Badass,
got it?
even from Leo's music. They had a luthier, a guy that worked on instruments there that builds and everybody was talking about the Badass. That was the bridge to have, and
Interesting.
so I put it on there and never took it off.
Wow. When you put that other bridge, I'm just curious, like what did it feel like it gave you, tonality wise? What was the difference?
For me, it was stability,
Yep.
tonality, the way it would resonate, everything. It was just a solid bridge for the structure of that instrument.
Got it.
They just worked well hand in hand. Yeah.
I've heard that from just about everybody, who had played those older bridges, that they're just problematic, right?
Yeah.
The string energy transference doesn't really get to the body or the rest of the
Right.
instrument as well, right?
And I
So
was having a problem with the old bridge, the old bridge, with, the screws it would drop,
yeah,
it wouldn't hold its position.
right, right. Yeah,
It would
saddles are
not hold.
problematic
So,
too.
but the Badass, it's so well made, and it was just everything you could just depend on it.
When you first started playing and you were in the electric bass now, who were the people that, like I've got different people when I first started playing. Everybody gravitates to certain
Hmm.
players they kind of absorb and make their own voice. Who are the people that you were listening to that you said, "Oh yeah, that's kind of what I want to do," or "That's what I want
Hmm.
to do."
Well, unbeknownst to me at the time, I was hearing a lot of different records, and a lot of times I didn't know who was on those records. And then when I later found out, I was listening to James Jamerson,
Right,
Chuck Rainey. I
right.
was listening to Willie Weeks. I already knew about Larry Graham because he was a Bay Area. Larry Graham was a
Ah,
Bay Area
right,
guy from
right.
Graham Central Station. So the funk thing with the thumbing and all that stuff, we were into that. I just didn't make it not I just didn't want that to be everything I did. I just wanted to be a combination of things that I could do and
Right.
introduce it within my playing. But I was listening to all those guys. I was listening to Ray Brown
Mm,
and Ron Carter.
mm.
I gravitated toward those guys.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, half these guys never got credit early on, right? I mean,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
the Motown guys, it was just basically, the Funk
Right.
Brothers. You didn't know, nobody knew who it
Hmm.
was. It's crazy. So that's
Absolutely.
fantastic. That's really interesting. So
Yeah.
how did you make the jump? So you're playing in high school. You're playing in any like local bands or cover bands or anything that kind of stuff, or
Yeah,
R&B bands?
I
Or
was playing in a local band with guys. The drummer was James Levi. He was with Herbie Hancock and the Headhunters for
right.
a while. And
Yeah.
before I got with Herbie, I was in his band. It was at that time it was called the Grove Street Band. And these guys are like, you know, like 17, 18 years older than me. And so that's where I got my, you know, footing.
Wow. How did you get the gig? Was you knew the drummer already, or
The drummer was on yard duty at my high school. So he was a patrol on the yard, and
right?
he heard me play with it with the
Wow.
choir because I was in this kind of famous choir, and he heard me play, and he said, "Look, man, I like the way you play. Would you want to do some gigs, some top 40 gigs?" And you know, and I said, "Yeah, I'd love to do that." And he talked to my mom to make sure and you know make sure everything was good with her and that
Right.
what he's going to be doing, where he's going to be playing, and that's where it started. So
Incredible. So how
I
are
was
you
doing
like?
club gigs.
Well, how old are you? 15 or something? How old are you at the
Yeah, I was
time?
like 15, 16, 15,
Wow.
16. Yeah.
Wow. Right.
Yeah.
They tell the owner, no, he's of age. Don't worry about him. He's of age. Yeah, he's 18,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Oh, that's
Yep.
amazing.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
How did it get from there to like say Herbie Hancock?
James Levi, the drummer,
Yep.
Paul Jackson got him on with Herbie. Okay. He got to do the Herbie Hancock gig.
Right.
So Paul Jackson left Herbie. And then Jaco Pastorius came in to
Right.
work with Herbie for a while. Jaco had to go back with Weather Report. So Herbie had this big, massive bass audition. Bass players all around want to work with Herbie, so they come in and audition.
Right. Sure.
And so the drummer was like, "Okay, we had a few days of auditions." He asked Herbie, he said, "Herbie, have we found a bass player yet?" And Herbie said, "No, we haven't found one." And he said, "If you don't mind, can I make a suggestion?" He said, "I have a kid over in Oakland that can play Paul better than Paul." So,
Wow.
and Herbie said, "You do?" He said, "Well, bring him over." So I come over. I knew all of Herbie's music, and
Wow.
we start playing "Hang Up Your Hang Ups" and all these songs. And then after the audition, Herbie said, he said, "The thing I like about you is I like your instincts. You played a bass line on Hang Up Your Hang Ups that we were going to consider using, but we changed it. But you just played it out of it, out of your instincts, what you felt, you know, that you
Wow.
start adding things in." So he said, "I want you on this gig."
Wow. And how old are
So
you
that
then?
was I was 19
Oh my goodness, that's
at that
incredible.
point. Yep.
Wow, wow,
Hmm.
that is incredible.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think the Ready Freddie comes right. I mean, it's there, right? You were ready for that gig. You knew the
Oh, I was
material.
man. Look,
Uh,
I was ready for my life as a musician.
yeah,
You know, I knew what I was put here to do.
that's
So,
incredible. That's
yeah.
wow, that is so great. From there, now of course you had just an amazing studio history here. I mean,
Hmm.
the discography is incredible. Um, would you remember what your first recording session was like?
After the first gig I did with Herbie, um, we played at the Circle Star Theater in San Mateo, California. And then after that gig that night, we went over to San Francisco to a studio called Bear West and recorded the record Feet Don't Fail Me Now.
Oh wow,
So
wow,
it was like right after the gig, we go to the studio, and I'm like, wow, this is how this stuff works. I said, I kind of like this. So that was
wow.
kind of one Feet Don't Fail Me Now, and then later, you know, it was like Bill Summers and Summers Heat,
Yeah.
you know, those records I did at Fantasy
Yep.
Records up north before I came to LA.
Yep.
And then when I came to LA, I started doing, you know, I did the 7 albums with Patrice
Right.
Rushen.
Right. Right.
So,
Incredible.
you know,
So
so those are some of my earlier stuff before I left the Bay Area.
I'm assuming you were playing the Fender bass during that period of time.
Absolutely. It was all
Yeah.
Fender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. What other rig did you have? Did you remember? You recall when you're using?
I was using like the Ampegs. I was
Yep.
using the big Ampegs.
Sure. Sure. Yep.
And on Herbie's gig, I used Paul's rig. He had a Serwin Vega folded horn
Oh, interesting. Wow.
with
Yeah.
a crowned amp.
Wow. So that'd
So
be clean.
I
That'd be
would use that.
clean, clean, right? Wow.
Yeah.
A lot of top end on that with the horn,
A
right?
lot of top end, and then you stand right by it. You can barely hear it standing by it, but the further you get away from it, the more it projects.
Right.
Projected.
That bass wave was so long that it's
Yeah,
20
yeah,
feet out in front of the cabinet,
yeah,
right? Wow, it's
yeah. So
incredible.
those were some of my first, and I used a lot of the
Wow.
Ampeg rig.
So speaking of some of your sessions, one of my favorite songs is actually a wedding song my wife and I we had, and it was Anita Baker, "Sweet Love." So
Oh,
she said say
yeah.
hi to I say hi to Freddie and thank you when I see you. So thank you
Ah,
to her. So
that's great.
that track is incredible. Do you
Hmm.
what's your recollection of that session overall? Was she there and were you guys in the same
She,
room or
yes, she was.
same
It
room?
was a live date. She was there. She was
Yep.
singing. She was singing along with us as the track went down.
Wow.
Everything. I mean, it was like the way a session was supposed to be ran.
Wow. So
Yeah, we
everybody's
run.
was everybody in the same room except for her? Is she in the
Yeah, everybody,
bafflings?
bass and drums in the same room,
Yep.
keyboard players in another room. She's in her vocal booth.
Right, right, right.
So we run it down, and she listened to us run it down, and then and she'd sing her parts. Where we just kind of getting the band thing together, and then as we could do the take, she would sing along with us.
So the charts, like on something like that, was it a basic chord chart, or they actually, or that specific session, do they have notes written out for you and
It
to
was
kind
a
of,
basic chord chart, but I think the one of the line on "Sweet Love" on the chorus that was
yep.
kind of written out. That was kind of a written part right there, and then all the other little stuff I did was my add-ons to making it, to make the bass line sing, to make it
Mhm.
real melodic.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. I mean,
Hmm.
when I watch you play, I'm amazed at how relaxed you are.
Yeah.
Like, is that always been the way? Like, just how you learn to play, or did the studio work kind of bring that to you? Like, okay, I
Yeah,
gotta be more
because
relaxed, build the track kind of thing.
I tend to not like a lot of motion in my body
Yep.
because I'm trying to the inner engine. I want the engine that you don't see, like in a
Right.
car.
Right.
You know, there's an engine under that hood,
Right.
but you see the car is moving, but it's not teetering and all this
Yeah.
kind of stuff. So that's my move. It's like because I'm feeling everything. So my feeling is not displayed.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I can see it and feel it. Like everybody can
Yeah.
when you play. It's just amazing to me because again, your arm is so relaxed. Even
Hmm.
no matter how intense you get, no matter how syncopated you get,
Right.
it still remains relaxed. And I think, when I watch that, I go, wow, that is the perfect studio person because you're not overplaying. Like there's no
Right.
like you.
Hmm.
I'm just astounded when I listen to you and really your ability to build the track, and your ability to, I think you follow the vocalist like you're, like a good musician would, but you're building
Hmm.
intensity and you're making sure that that you're saving moments.
Yeah.
You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like I don't know
Yeah.
necessarily to describe it, but that's how kind of feel I get when I listen to you play. Like you're
Yeah.
like
You're describing it just you're describing it perfectly. Yeah.
really glad you picked the bass again because it's obvious that it's just a natural thing for you. I mean, how many hours a
Yeah.
day were you practicing when you first started playing, like the upright and stuff? Were you playing
Oh
all
man,
the time? Or?
I was practicing a lot. I was practicing a lot during the week. I was taking upright bass lessons on the weekend, and doing top 40 gigs. So it was a lot of hours I was putting in.
I love that you say that because my hope always is that we have some younger people watching this stuff, and
Yes.
they understand that that the kind of the 10,000 hour rule, right, or whatever it is, right, that
Right.
you got to put the work in.
Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't just happen for people, and
Right.
that's
You got to put that time in, and you have to want it. You have
yeah,
to really
yeah,
want it, no
you
matter
do.
what.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's got to be some kind of inner passion that drives you, right,
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
continue
Nobody
to
has to
do it.
tell you, oh, it's time to practice. Nope. I never had that problem. It's like I always have my instrument in my hand.
It's incredible. It really is.
Yeah.
On the just a couple other like tracks I'd like to talk about.
Mhm.
The What Friends Are For.
Yeah.
Man, I didn't know you played bass on that till like a few years ago. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And when I heard it, I was like, oh, that makes total sense now. The opening, so that descending melodic line you do is
Hmm.
just such a key part of that song. I just how I
Yeah.
remember it, and I was. So how did that session work out? Like, was that all charted out, or did they give you a little bit of leeway in your how you felt and
Yeah.
played with it?
Yeah. Burt Bacharach, he wrote things out. I think that was more of a chord. that was more of like a chord chart than anything. It
Yep.
had some notes in there, but that descending line I
Yeah.
played
Yeah.
when we first started running that, I wasn't playing that line at first.
I
And
can't
before we
imagine without
started,
it.
and then before we did our last rundown, I was hearing this line in the intro. I wanted to add a
Mm,
melodic thing in the intro, and I just came up with this line, and I just and nobody told me come up with something for the intro.
right.
It was like that's what my instincts told me to do
Man,
and told me to
fantastic.
play. And they
Incredible.
didn't even know they weren't like, well, you know, um, come up with something or don't play that or this and that. It was like I felt it and I put it in there and I was trying to treat it real tender. It was just a tender moment. It wasn't even a step out. It was a tender moment.
I can't imagine the song now listening to it without it in there. It's just such
Yeah.
a beautiful section of it. That's incredible.
Mhm.
Um, as far as your live performance goes, you toured some amazing people. The Dukes of September, I thought,
Yeah.
what a great band that was. That must have been a lot
Yeah.
of
It
fun,
was.
right?
Yeah. That was a
Uh,
lot of fun.
had you played with Fagan before that period at all, or I recall?
Play with who, Donald?
Yeah, Donald Fagan. If you
Yeah, I
yeah.
had worked with Donald. I worked with Donald. The first time I worked with Donald was in 2004 when I went to New York to record Morph the Cat, the record Morph
Got
the
it.
Cat
Got
for him.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Got it.
And then
Yeah,
and then 2000 summer of 2006, that's when I started working with Steely Dan.
which
Yeah.
is one of my favorite
Hmm.
all-time bands, really. I
Yeah.
mean, wow. So what was that experience like? I mean, obviously you knew who these guys were, right? Way before you did this.
Yeah.
Was that like something you've been looking forward to for a long time, or how did that, what was your
Well, when I got the call, I hadn't thought about it. You said, I got a call,
mm,
that Donald has requested that you work with, Steely Dan.
mm.
And I said, well, I couldn't do it at the time because I had another commitment. And I said,
Wow.
wow, my heroes are calling me. Okay.
Wow.
So I got the call and I said, but don't count me out. I
Right.
said, I have to finish my commitment and then I can work. And then they called me back and said, okay, well, Donald wants you to come to New York to do this new record that he's getting ready to do.
That's
And
fantastic.
it was incredible that they sought me out.
Not
So
to me, but yeah, I'm sure that feeling to you was that at the time, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's like oh, they've been listening.
Yeah, yeah. Well, musicians are a strange group of people, right? We do listen, right? Good ones
Yeah.
too. And if you hear something good, you go, okay, who is that? Who is that? I gotta
Hmm.
I gotta meet this person.
Yeah.
I gotta. So that's fantastic. So what was the continuing with the live performance? I know you played a Michael Jackson's tour. That must have been quite an experience. What was the preparation like? Was it like, did you have to learn? How many songs did you have to even learn for that tour? Did you mix it up, or was it
Uh,
pretty much the same show?
it's going to be pretty much the same show, the hits, and
Yep.
whatever he does. There's a lot of preparation as far as the band. It's about a month of rehearsals for the
Wow.
band, and then there's another three weeks of production rehearsals.
Lights and all that other
With
stuff.
with the band and with the dancers and with the lights and with the pyro and all that kind of stuff. It's like,
Wow. So Michael's
yeah,
still not even there yet.
Michael's not at the musical rehearsals, but he's at the production rehearsals because he
Got it.
has to be a part of that
That's
that
what I was
whole.
thinking.
So
The
we don't
dancing,
see
sure.
him till we hit a big airplane hangar. That's where they rehearsed at a big airplane hangar. Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
Incredible. And
Yeah.
and so any particular memories you have from that tour that kind of stand out, or
The memories is like it was crazy. The audience were insane. The fans were insane. Even not at the shows. It's like even when we're at a hotel, you have fans all around. They're up all night and hollering Michael and this and that. And when he comes to town, it's almost like the president's coming to town. So
right, right.
block off the hotel, block off this street. It's like all this stuff going on.
That's amazing. That is
Yeah.
incredible. Wow.
Hmm.
Well, I got to thank you again for coming here today. This was such a treat for me. Um,
Thank you, man.
it really is. I do have a question that was submitted by a huge fan of yours, and it was
Okay.
sent to me, and he asked me to please ask you this. So this comes from Richard Cairn of New Hampshire, and his
Hmm.
question is, what piece of advice would you give bass players that you think may be often overlooked, but would be helpful to their growth as musicians and long-term success in various playing situations?
Stay the course. Stay the course. Don't look for any praise. Just try to be as good as you can at what you do, because this is not about recognition. I never got into it so I can get recognized or look at me, look at him. It's like I love what I was doing so much. So love what you do and do it with a serious passion, and learn every style of music and play it and play that style of music like that's all you know how to play. And then go to the next thing and do it the same way. So don't look for the recognition. Look for, okay, you want to play with certain musicians and you want to be a part of a team, and
Right.
you have to be a team player.
That's great advice. Great advice. Well, thank you again, Freddie. Always a pleasure. I hope to see you again soon at some point. Do you have anything happening that you want to share? Anything coming up that any events or anything that you want to share with your fans?
Yeah, I'm going to be in September. I'm going to be doing some work with Boz Scaggs. We're going to be doing a short tour.
Great.
So I'm looking forward to that. That's
I
my Boz is my buddy. So,
and I love Boz Scaggs. You guys coming to the Northeast by chance? I hope maybe
I'm not sure. I think
uh,
it's gonna be kind of like
West Coast.
west on the West Coast and
Got.
little Midwest.
Well, I'll keep my fingers crossed.
The
I'll keep
furthest
my
we're
eyes
gonna
open.
come is Florida. So yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll keep
Mhm.
my eyes open. So thanks again,
Yeah.
sir. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and
Thank you, man.
it's a pleasure, an honor. Take care now.
My pleasure.
Bye.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching our episode today of Who's a Badass. Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button for our future episodes. Thanks so much.